What's up, Dreamedia family? This is Zach, and today we are out here at one of our recently completed Colorado smart homes that's featuring Lutron shades. And we wanted to give you guys a little look into what it would look like if you were to hire Dreamedia or have us out for an in-home consultation to design your roller shade solutions. Keep in mind, we don't only offer roller shades, we have the full Lutron light up. Everything from the lighting to shades and the different types of shades, whether it's like the old school wooden shades, horizontal, shears or drapery or the cellular shades. We have all of these options available to meet your design needs. But in today's video, we're going to show you our little pop-up kits that we will bring out to your home to help you in making a designer decision on the correct ones that fit your home. I'm going to be bringing on Chase Williams, our regional sales manager, who is our shade specialist and has installed dozens of these all around Colorado, specifically up here in Summit County and Vail Eagle County, Colorado. So if you're in that territory, reach out today. We are also servicing everything from Fort Collins all the way down to the Springs, and we would love the opportunity to earn your business. So we're going to give you a little insight into what an in-home consultation looks like. Let's go, guys.
Thanks for having me on. So as Zach said, we'll come out to your house with these shade kits and you'll get to feel, touch, play, pick fabrics, pick metal finishes, all that goodness. Now, if you're up here where we are at the very top of the mountains, maybe you're saying, hey Chase, they're just laying the foundation of my house. There's no house to visit. Meet us, schedule us at one of our design centers in Denver. You can land at DIA, wherever you're coming from. We'll meet you there. Short drive from the airport, and then you can experience an even more extensive list, like see these actually installed in finished homes. We can even, depending on your build, schedule an appointment to see a specific shade design in application at a house of one of our customers if you would like. But let's dive into this, guys. So we're just going to go over the roller kits today. Specifically, these options are for wired roller shades, these Savoia lines. Now you guys have seen me break down Palladiums, Triathalons. Some of these do have altering fabric selections, but we've got to get you to that point first, right? So if it comes down to a specific custom fabric selection, we can figure that out too later. But we're just going to talk about some of our bread and butter items today. So what I've got here in this first box is a Triathalon battery shade, but it's going to install much like you could the Savoia line. The only roller line that's significantly different stylistically from this is Palladium shades, which is why we're filming this video here today, because we've got Palladium shades literally everywhere. Okay, so this really cool window frame pops up here, and I'll shimmy this guy out. I've just got some braces on the back because as you can tell, the window folds up, so just so it doesn't buckle up on us here. Now, this is not a part of any real shade install, guys. This piece of plastic, you're gonna have a solid window frame. So what we're looking at right now is a Triathalon battery powered shade with a black powder coated valance to hide the shade enclosure. So this would be considered an inside mount. We also have outside mount options. For an outside mount option, big pros is you're going to be able to get rid of the light gap because you can actually have, you can have it on the outside and have the fabric drop 1/2 inch to 1 inch over the edge and get better light gap control. But at that point, you're looking for third-party valances, which is just going to be something beautiful designed by a carpenter to match your window trim. But for an inside mount, this would be Lutron's in-house, one of their covers. So we are looking at a black powder coated finish, but guys, we can get them fabric wrapped instead of metal coated. So Lutron will take your fabric selection, and let me drop this down so you can see the fabric. They will take your fabric selection and make you a valance made out of this fabric, and I'll show you some examples of that in a second. So this is just what we'd bring out to let you play with the shade, feel the shade, and honestly, Zach, pretty importantly, hear the shades. If you go discount shades, you're gonna hear your shades. Motor start, you're gonna hear the fabric rubbing. Lutron has put so much effort, their engineers are relentless, and these are whisper quiet. I'm not even sure you guys will hear these on the video. I'll get my mic right up on it. You're not gonna hear anything. These things are whisper quiet, and now you can really see what I brought up for a quick second, which is our light gap on an inside, okay? When you have any shade solution, it may be the old blinds in the house you grew up in, you have a light gap, okay? Because the harness of any window treatment is gonna be a little bit wider than the material, whether it's a pull down shade, whether it's a wood blinds, whatever it is, honeycomb shades. So that's what I meant by light gap. Okay, so on an inside mount, you will always have a light gap. If you go wired shades, and now maybe we can throw up some B-roll of this, Zach and I went out to a house that I recently completed with dual rollers, and in their theater, because it's a media game room flex space, which we have a lot of up in the Rockies, just because their space is such a premium, and like, who just wants to sit down in a room up here all day? There's so much to see. You want windows everywhere, even if it's media room hybrid theater. We can have fabric tracks installed to delete this light gap on the side. Okay, we can have back panels put to delete the light gap on the back, which is not an issue with this Triathalon battery shade, but is a factor on some other shade selections. And we even have a bottom trim plate. Caveat with that is you lose 3/4 to 2 inches on either side of the window to get that light gap. But, and you know, anyone that owns these can attest to this. It essentially, with all the gap treatment, is like deleting your window. It doesn't exist. It's as solid as a wall at that point with a blackout material. So just some options to go over. But yeah, you guys can see how quick this is. This is a wireless communication. You can watch how snappy that is. It's immediately responding. I can stop it wherever I want. I can bump adjust it. These shades are very flexible and customizable. And here's something that I know Zach would love, and I hope Screen Innovation gets on, is Lutron just changed the game with geo-tracking for your shades, okay? So I go in to the software in a centralized system and tell Lutron where every window is, tell them the coordinates of your house, and your shades will automatically adjust throughout the day to keep sun glare from coming into your house. It'll protect your furniture, and it's literally zero maintenance, okay? The solution before this is sensors all up and down the side, or sometimes a home kit solution that gets expensive fast and really is not worth your time. So then what would happen is, oh, well, on this time of the day, drop my shade all the way. Well, that gets rid of your light control in that space because you're just submitting to the sun. So now we have the ability to close our shades and track with sunlight. It's just really cool stuff, and I hope that maybe we'll come back to this house and try it, but we're gonna deploy that system, set up a camera at some point, and get a time lapse of it. It is just so cool. Anyway, without further ado, this is, again, an example of what you could have with a Savoia or a Triathalon wire or wireless shade. The Palladiums look different, but you guys have seen those because they are the only product in this house. Now, I'll dive into this next because this is probably the least exciting of the bundle. Now, but very important, right? So what this is my bracket styles, my treatment styles, and tongue and groove styles. Because essentially, if you can imagine this Triathalon wire free, this is all one hard piece of metal here, but you can choose whether to have just a top plate, whether to have a top plate with a pocket, which means that even when you get up under your shade and look, all you're going to see is the Hembar. We can get that right up, you know, and it's a little deeper on the Savoia lines and keeps you from looking up into the harness, maybe seeing some wires. So what we've got here is examples of different bracket types for the Savoia line. Roller 64, Roller 100, do not worry about that. that's entirely dependent on fabric selection, but more importantly, window size. So you're always gonna go roller 64, okay, because it's got the smallest track roll up. If you've got a massive like 12 by 12 window, you may end up in a roller 100 brand, but again, that is based on your home. That is not an initial solution. So I would think wired. And then for triathlon, I would think wired 12 volt power for some reason if you have volt infrastructure, or if you were going triathlon wireless. So what we're gonna show here, everything in this kit is powder coated white, okay? And as you can see, Lutron, they seal all of this. You're not ever going to receive a metal product nicked in shipping, and I'm not even gonna pull these off, but these just show some of our different pockets, pocket flaps, end caps, okay? And just, you know, this is solely dependent on what line you take, so it's not important to remember any of this really right now, but I will show you this pocket, okay? So this is, if you were putting, if you're ordering a Lutron Valance fascia pocket, right, and you weren't using a carpenter and you were trying to hide wires, this would bolt up into your window frame, okay? And then your shade would get installed into this, and then you come in and install this pocket flap cover, and now you won't be able to look up into the shade. So again, you know, it's totally stylistically dependent. Lutron has gone above and beyond to make sure there are too many options to choose from so that we can make everyone's home and everyone's shading system work for them. This is just a quick example of what a single 64 bracket looks like. So if you are going wired shades and you get just what you would consider a standard shade from any provider, this is the bracket you will have. So as you can imagine, that can be top mounted, can be side mounted, can be mounted on the outside, on the inside, up in a pocket. This is the most versatile bracket for a single shade, okay? So that's just an idea of what you'd have to deal with as far as covering. So as you can imagine, this is mounted up to the top in this configuration. So it'd sit like this, and then my shade's about right there, right? And then we're covering that up. So again, we've just got some pocket covers here. Now, end caps. Why would you need an end cap? Let's say you've got a shade and a really thin window and it protrudes. You're able to block up the sides and make it look really clean. Now this rounded pocket, we had talked about this black metal fascia here. I really wanted to show this example. This is the fabric fascia. Okay, so it's plastic, it's not metal, but it's got a glued on what would match exactly your fabric selection, so that when your shade is down, you've got a very similar look. There's no change, there's no shine. If you don't like metal, that would be the selection for you. And again, the colors of this, totally dependent on your fabric selections that you make for your shade system. So what I've got here is just a couple examples of the stock options that are available at no charge. You know, it's the same for the white or the black, but here are some of the designer options for plastic, as well as the designer options for metal powder coated finishes, okay? So these are stock, but I don't want you to feel limited by this. It would be an upcharge, but we can match anything. You guys can see from the palladiums that are actually installed in this house that we matched the brackets, which is all you have to match with a palladium shade specifically, exactly as close as we could to the paint color and the shade fabric. So it just natively integrates. So don't feel limited by this, but these are the stock options and best sellers. So Lutron has made them available by default. Okay, so you can go white, some of these browns, grays, and silvers for the plastic pieces. And again, we've got those really clean, glossy metal finishes from silvers to browns to blacks to white stock. But again, any custom color we can make. Lutron is super flexible. So I'm gonna pop this out now, if it'll let me. And then we're gonna look at some of the big boys, okay? This is what an end cap would look like for drapery. Here's the thing. I don't really see the reason to show you guys because you won't see this. Typically, if you're doing Lutron drapery, we'll build a false wall. It'll be in your architectural plans from the beginning, and this will, your and we'll have an example of this in the flower mound house we're building in Texas right now. Absolutely stunning house. And the master bedroom is drapery, that we have a pocket. So the drapery, if you guys saw the video where we kind of broke down some of the other options for Lutron, drapery folds up to 1/3 the length of the fabric. And that's any fabric you choose. You can mix and match. You can have your own designer fabric made, whatever you want to do. But if you don't have a pocket and you go drapery, you've either got to, if you want your window to not be covered, you've either got to have the brackets go 1/3, so 1/6 left, 1/6 right past the window for the window to fully open up. And that's why we like building pockets, so that your drapery just like disappears into your wall. It's like really cool stuff, guys. And then this is an example of our dual brackets. So we broke those down, Zach and I, and we can put some B-roll from one of our houses in Breckenridge that's got that classic, like, when would you use this? Well, blackouts are great. Maybe you've got neighbors, you want blackouts, but you don't want to always miss that Colorado view and you want a little privacy. You can go ahead and do a sun shear and a blackout up into a pocket. This can be installed outside again in a Valance. It's very customizable. And then this is what the inside pocket would look like with the dual bracket. So I typically avoid these, but if it's stylistically right for you in your house, don't let it stop you. But this gets mounted up in here. So as you can imagine, on a window this short, this is not the right solution. But if we've got a 14-foot high window back there with a dual roller, this is negligible. No one's ever going to be looking from the top 6 inches of the window. So just wanted to show that real quick. And as well as one of our pocket brackets. So this is when you're installing into a pocket. And this just allows us a different implementation method for hanging a shade the proper way. Why am I showing all these? Did these matter to you as a consumer that just wants shades? Not really. That's for me, but I just wanted to show off how many different options we have to make your shades work for you and to fit into any window application. So probably the coolest thing about this, now that we've gotten through a lot of the knickknacks and drapery recessed pockets and all this goodness, really you've got to kind of have an idea of where you're going at this point for these stylistic choices to really matter. Where what really matters is the Valance selection, the metal coating, the plastic color selection, but the Hembar selection is the best part of this kit in my opinion. This is going to show off, and I'll slide this back so I can lay some of these out on the table. Some of our different Hembar solutions, and I'll try and keep the label out so you guys can see them. This is by far the best seller. That's what we have in this house, the sealed Hembar. Okay, so this is heat press sealed, and there's a piece of metal down here, in here, that weights the shade so that it doesn't get any weird wrinkles. Here are 4 main Hembar. Okay, so the bottom of your shade has to have a Hembar. There has to be some weight for the shade to work. We've got an exposed Hembar, which has a fabric bottom, which will help with light gap slightly, but is personally for me not my favorite seeing the finish. Again, this is not the only finish. You pick the finish. It's a black fabric, so they went with the black metal on this exposed Hembar.
This almost feels better for like an outdoor shade.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen these used. I've never used one of those, but if that's what you're looking for, maybe that's right for you. Maybe you do the side tracks, but you don't like the bottom plate. Then maybe you go with this to kind of help mitigate some of that light gap at the bottom there. Our designer Hembar is the second most popular. These are the 2 big sellers, the sealed and the designer. What's the difference? So we get the same heat print across the top, right? But we've got these Lutron embroidered end caps here that can pop off. These can be different colors based on your shade, of course. And this is a little more cost-effective option if that doesn't bother you. But again, just a really clean look. And then we've got our half wrap Hembar. This is for when you have a heavier weight on the bottom, right? But we've got our fabric wrap. And what this really does from a look perspective is, I'm gonna mix these around really quick so you guys can just kind of separate them by their stylistic look. These 2, we don't have the heat press. Maybe that turns, you know, maybe that's not your style with the heat press. So then you'd come over to this, and as you can see, the fabric goes into the bottom here and wrapped around taut. And essentially when you're backed up, you can't see the treatment. You've just got the end caps. On the back, you've got a metal plate here, but that won't be visible. So these are just some of the very end decisions. Probably the last decision you'll be making on your roller shades is what Hembar. And again, in my opinion, these are pretty much all we do. If you don't mind the sealed wrap, I really like the sealed. The designer Hembar is also a little slicker from 4 or 5 feet back in your room, okay? So that breaks down this kit. All right, so we broke down our Hembars, and you can kind of see an example of this, of a binding of 2 fabrics, right? This is a pretty fat one, this seal here. But what I want to show you is, this is like maybe you fall in love with a particular fabric type, right? You're just like, this is the one speaking to me. But maybe you have a window like that that's just absolutely massive, and maybe that fabric in a single cut sheet can't facilitate that window. You can still do it. Typically you'll switch to a similar fabric, but I just wanted to show an example with the blackout and with the shear on what we call a seam. So if you've got a 14-foot window and the maximum length of this fabric is 12 feet, you will have a seam. I typically order these up by the top so that they're not that visible, but this is just a caveat. At this point, the blackout one's really not that bad. But that's just something to look forward to and to think about. So if your specialist is recommending a different fabric due to size of window, that is why. Because every fabric has its own limitations on width, on length, and how big it can be on a single sheet. And I am not the biggest fan on that. So typically I will find a very similar fabric. Maybe this is a fiberglass that could, maybe I'll find a polyester material that's very close in fabric to get us what we're looking for. But this is just a look ahead. If I recommend, hey, that shade's gonna look terrible, that's probably why. But if that doesn't bother you, then pick out your exact shade fabric you want. So that was really cool to break down the different valance types. And just as a reiteration, this is a powder coated metal that can be custom ordered in different colors. And then this is your other main enclosed Lutron valance type, which is a fabric wrapped that'll match exactly to the fabric. I wish this one matched this shade, because we have some of these in the field. I'll get some videos of them coming forth, but it actually, if you're 3-4 feet back from the window, it's very seamless with the fabric wrapped fascias. So I'm gonna throw this away real quick. And Lutron has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fabrics, different weights, different shades, different openness factors, different materials. It's very overwhelming. What we're going to look at today is going to be our Classico collection, which is the best sellers at Lutron. These are their bread and butter fabrics. If you are looking for something more designer, we have the Elise collection. We have some of these other more designer collections where you can get into more vibrant, different, less matte colors. You know, most of these are tans, blacks, browns. You can get into dark maroons, navies, and some of the other collections. But I just want to speak to these fabrics because these are typically what almost every shade home does. I mean, this fabric on these palladiums in here is actually in this book. So most people end up picking from the Classico selection here. And essentially what this is a collection of different fabrics by series, by material composite, and basically explains based on, you know, so if you pick out this material, let's say this material is very exciting to you and that's the one you wanted, well, we can check out all the customization options and look that up. So that's, this is the white, and then, you know, we've got a model number here, but this is just their standard white for roller shades. So I can come back here now and see what our composite is. We've got fiberglass with the PVC coating. We've got polyesters. We even, if you are eco-friendly, we even have fully recycled shade fabrics that are up for selection, if that means something to you, with mostly recycled plastics. And you can also see the openness factor of what you're looking at. So I said that again, but openness factor of 0 means you cannot see through the shade, right? Whereas if we start getting up to the 1%, the 5, the 10s, that's when you end up with a light filtering, maybe privacy, but not a full separation from the outside world. These are extremely popular up here in the Rockies, where everybody has these big, gorgeous windows and stunning views of Gore Range, which is absolutely covered by a snowstorm right now. So that was a bad direction to point. But normally you're just looking at peaks from here. So why would you want to cover that up? So that comes down to location and preference. So in this great room, we've got shears everywhere, or light filtering versions of the Palladium fabric. But if we were to walk over to the master suite and the master bath where you'd want more privacy, we've got an openness factor of 0 and very dark blackouts. So as you can see, there's tons of lines, and this is really where it gets exciting for you as a customer, is where you can pick between, and guys, this is one book, there's like 5 of them. And there's even more fabrics online that we don't carry around that we can order samples of. So, you know, if the fabric books aren't speaking to you, there's a Lutron fabric finder that I can point you in the direction of, that you can, on your own at home on your computer, pick out your shade fabric and order a sample. And I'll ship that directly to your house, whether it's up here, or if this is a second home, we can ship it back to wherever you're from, so that you can hang on to that fabric, hold it up to the light, try it out, and see if it's right for you. So any of these samples also can be ordered and shipped out to you nationwide, so that you guys can experience it. So we're going to, this is the Value Premier line. A lot of people end up going with this. It's very, it's a little bit like rougher looking material if you're very, very, very close, but it still functions great. It's very light transparent, and I'm going to guess that this exact one's an openness factor of 0 as well. Yep. Okay, and you can see this is a polyester acrylic base. So, you know, if you're trying to stay away from plastics, we can. If you'd like to go recycled, you can. As eco-friendly as you want. And then over here, I'm going to show some more of the light filterings, which may be hard, but I can. Okay, so this is a sheer light. This color is pearl. And then we've got pearl/oysters, so it's a little bit different. And we've got a gray that they've named Pearl Gray. And then these are, I really like these shears, these darker shears. This is the charcoal brown. Then we've got the charcoal gray. And this is actually, this next one is the fabric we have up in this home right now, which is our charcoal, which is essentially charcoal black, right? And these have an openness factor of 3 and 5% in this specific sheer light line. But in this room here, we've gone with a 5% openness factor. But as you can see here, this is a 3% openness factor. So it's a little tighter knit, little less light. So I mean, guys, it's hard to speak to all of the options. I could sit here and spend hours going through every different material composite, every different shade type, you know, and see, here's our first one that we've looked at today. This Basketweave 90, very popular fabric, one of the best sellers that I've had up here in the mountains. And the reason why this is flexibility. So I've got 1 to 10% openness factor, even though we're showing a 3 here in this Basketweave. And this is where you can get really beautiful, because this is where in your great room you can go with the 10%. In your kitchen you can go with the 10%, so that you have light bleed, not light bleed, but you have a more openness factor to the light coming into the space. But then maybe in the bedrooms, instead of going a full blackout, you go 1%. So to the end user's eye, just looking at the shades, they look the same, but you're manipulating the light in the space differently based on where the window is in the home. And this is a fiberglass vinyl line. So, you know, I don't want to waste too much time here, but we'll come out with these. If Classico isn't right for you and you're watching this video and you're reaching out, just let me know ahead of time. I'll show up with other booklets. We can meet at the design center in Denver and really get into the custom options. I've seen like dark maroons and dark navies fit seamlessly. It really, again, just depends on you, your style, and your vision for your home. We can make that happen. Not only that, but, you know, all I've done today is talk about light, right? Light filtering. There are other ways to use shades. You guys may, well, if you're watching this, you've probably seen Zach's living room by now. Okay, we've got RBH speakers everywhere. It's a killer like multimedia flex space. And Zach's fabric, those are Screen Innovation shades, but when picking fabric, he went with the heaviest shade material that he could do on that line as a way to treat the room architecturally and design oriented. What does that mean? Well, it's a living room. Zach's wife wasn't gonna let him put diffusers and acoustic panels all over the space, but we didn't want the speakers and the subs to just be bouncing around. So through the use of rugs, couches, and heavy shade fabric, we were able to sound treat that space. And I believe we do have a video on the channel of us testing the room with the shades up, with the shades down. I know it's not that audible on YouTube, but it's like an absolute game changer in the space. So not only did Zach conquer light manipulation from the outside world with the shades, but he acoustically treated his space with them, and it's just really cool. And I believe I spoke to this before, but we have a shade going up right now that we picked the heaviest, most light reflective material, and actually have the back facing in as in a suite in New York that lets us utilize this beautiful double door to a porch as a movie screen projector in their primary bedroom. So really, it starts with lights and shades, but there are ways that we can manipulate this to work for you and not only your light control, but your whole AV system, and just bring a space to life. So the last thing I want to show in this binder, we were kind of trying to show the light occupancies, but here is Basketweave 90. I told you is one of my favorite materials. We went over that. Here's a collection of Basketweave in both charcoal and oyster finish. With oyster is just a kind of white, guys, and charcoal is a type of black. And we've got from 1% openness to 10% openness here. So I'm actually going to pull this up to a window and have Zach pan across these so that you guys can really see what the shades are doing, because essentially from where you guys are looking now, these look the exact same, right? And that's how we can get macro and micro in a space to control light. So as you can see, it's probably much more noticeable on the camera with the charcoal, just given cameras. But we've got our 10% openness factor, our 5%, our 3%, and our 1%. And then below that, we get into blackout shades, which we went over is our 0% fabric light transparency. This just lets you keep the exact same look throughout a house and light treat it based on the space in a room, and something I really love. This is my favorite part of that shade document, because anyone can pick their favorite color. But what does 1 to 10% mean? And that's just what this is. We'll bring this out to you guys. We can ship a version out to wherever you are if you're building a second home, and you can live with this, tape this up to a window, and just get a feel for the vibe of it. So something really cool. Again, I just wanted to show. And the oyster in person does stand out with the light transparency as much as the charcoal. Cameras aren't a perfect representation of what we're living through right now in real life. So again, this is our Basketweave oyster and Basketweave charcoal, and we'll come out with this, and you don't have to know anything about light transparency. You can take this up to your window and live with it for a couple days and just figure out what's right for you and what's right for your space, space by space. Thanks for joining me today. Today we broke down a little of what it would look like when I come to your house to show off some of the Lutron shade products, material selections, occupancy, hem bars, and there's just so much more. Guys, this is just roller shades. We just put out a video just kind of breaking down a little bit, little surface area over the wood blinds, the horizontal sheer blinds, which are kind of like blinds and a sheer fabric, like combined, a little bit of different. Roman, which is essentially a drapery that folds up and can be done as bamboo. It looks so cool, guys. Drapery sliders. Did I say wood blinds? There's a ton, guys. Whatever you're looking for, don't feel like you're stuck in rollers. But I was very excited to break down some of the different stylistic options in rollers, which is by far the most popular window treatment line in our current modern age. Thanks for joining me, guys. I cannot wait to meet you at your house or at our design centers and make your dream AV system reality. Please reach out, schedule a free consultation with one of our experts today. Look forward to meeting you guys.
Big thanks to Chase for giving you guys the run through of what you can expect whenever you hire us to come out and do a design for you. Well guys, that is a wrap. I can't tell you how excited we are to be out here in Colorado boots on the ground, installing top to bottom technology packages for your home. Whether you want our specialty home cinema, dedicated home theater room, media room, or whole house audio, outdoor entertainment, or lighting and shade control, which is quickly becoming one of our most popular categories, we would love the opportunity to earn your business. Here at Dreamedia, we truly believe in elevating the level of service and raising the bar here in Colorado, and we look forward to meeting you. Well guys, thanks for tuning in today. I hope this video was educational and helped you in making an informed buying decision. If you are interested in purchasing, give us a ring. If you like this video, give us a big thumbs up, and do not forget to smash that subscribe button down below for more. Until next time, this is Zach and Chase out here in Colorado. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.